I always want to like mess with things.
All right.
Turn the
What do I
computer.
do?
We ready to go?
All right. Good morning, everybody.
You want to kick this off?
So today we are here with the CEO of Powur, Jonathan Budd, and there's many reasons why we decided to do this interview today at a really important time. I know we've been chatting a lot the last few weeks, last few months. There's been a shitload going on in the industry. And I've needed coaching. I've needed to be reminded what the mission's about. And so some of the reasons why we're doing this interview, everybody, it's about becoming emotionally grounded. Things that you've been teaching me, how to be that leadership that we all need to be. What does it mean to go all in with this vision, this community, this tribe, and reinforcing the vision and this decentralized model that's never been done before in 3.5 years. And so it's nothing short of amazing. Understanding that there's a ton of industry turmoil we could touch on, some things that are happening, moving and shaking, and the challenges right now that we're facing in this growth period. How to evolve ourselves and our souls and ask, what do we need, during this time, and what it means to be, all in as a leader. So that's it, guys. That's all we're going to talk about today.
Big conversations.
It's a little bit. So I'll kind of help guide this. If we have time, we'll do some Q&A at the end. And, part of even my journey these last few months of 1 or 2 installers off-boarded, some teammates that aren't always happy, a ton of sales with them too, just being able to have the emotional intelligence and coaching myself. And thankfully I have you and Jim and Bobby and others guiding me. And so that was kind of the intention for today, is to really reinforce that vision and the model, why we're here, who we're doing it with, how to be that leader. And I think what we focus on.
Mm-hmm.
You said to me in the sauna this morning after cold plunging in 39-degree water, because we're crazy.
That was our kickoff to this meeting.
You just look at me and you go, life is good. And it's what we choose to focus on and put our energy on. We could put it on the negatives or the stress, or we could choose to focus it on the positive. So that's what we're here to do today. Now, I know many of you out there already know our CEO of Powur, Jonathan Budd, but there's probably some new people. There's probably some guests, some industry guests on here as well. So for those of you that they don't know you, how about you give us how would you describe and introduce Jonathan Budd in, a short introduction of yourself?
Well, I would say that I'm a man on a mission. Interestingly, we were catching up this morning and starting to share a little bit about backgrounds. And I think I came from a unique life background that really prepared me to ask deeper questions about life. Without those kinds of backgrounds, sometimes I don't think we'll become the real potential of what we can all become. And sometimes you got to engineer that, right? Sometimes you got to create your own extra little boost. I had a boost, and I survived my first 20 years of life by the skin of my teeth, literally. And it kind of gave me a fresh perspective to look at life and go, why the hell am I really here? Why am I alive? Why did my life get spared? Why did I go through all this? Like, what's the point of this? There was a bigger sort of question about purpose. What is the purpose of my freaking life? Why am I here? Why are we here? And that kind of really, was at the foundation starting at age 20 for me onward. And now I can, in retrospect, see what an unbelievable gift, as damaging as some of those early, those experiences were in the first 20 years, and I'm still doing some repair on a lot of that. The gift of that was that it gave me a real thirst for life and the purpose of life. So fast forward to today, and I've now had 20 years to really dive deep into that question, as a central motivator, getting all the other bullshit out of the way. Of course, we all need to make money. All right, well, you know what? I satisfied that goal. I made a lot of money. Okay, then what? You're still a human. You're like, well, wait a minute, Jonathan, is like the end all be all making $100,000 a month. No, I mean, it's nice.
It's nice, nicer dinners, but it doesn't change the fulfillment.
It doesn't change who you are.
Day-to-day, no.
There's still a journey that we're on as humans. So you start asking deeper questions, and what's next, and what am I doing, and what's my impact, and all these things. So who I like to be is a man that's really leading from the front. I put that question front and center in my own life. I orient my life around it. I try to seek the truth. I try to really seek the truth, not things, not acquisition of things, not what's going to take away my pain, not what's going to make me momentarily feel better, but what's the real freaking truth. And if I stay focused on that, what I've found is that, magic happens in life. Like, you can create results that so often people don't create when they're focused on the wrong things, when they're focused on the short term, when they're focused on the momentary, when they're not able to see through their own biases and patterns and emotional blocks and emotional, sort of shit. You miss the bigger picture, you miss the deeper truth, and that's where all the magic is. All the magic is there. It's in that bigger picture. So anyways, JB, that's who I am. That's what I'm committed to. And that's honestly why Powur exists, right? That's how we got here. So
I don't know if I've heard someone introduce themselves. Usually it's like, oh, I was born and raised in Connecticut. I moved here, I did a advertising online, made millions in my 20s, and now I'm the CEO of Powur. But that's how JB rolls, right? We just go a whole nother path. And
that's how we roll.
There's two things you said there. One is the life that you hung on by 20 years old, and then another 20 years has gone by. So that means you're turning 40 is what I heard. When is
That's
that?
what's happening, man. I'm turning 40, January 24th, wow. 2024.
That's amazing. And I think, a lot of people don't even have this learning, these schools of learning and thoughts and community that you've been around or you've put yourself into to even have the maturity to say what you just said. And I think some of us are lucky to have you and other leaders in Powur or other modalities like Giving Business Soul and other people to look up to and have emotional intelligence. But I mean, let's just speak to that real quickly. Yeah. To not have a monetary desire and pursuit and to have this inwards, approach. Where did you gain some of that knowledge? And it's a testament to the people and the coaches and mentors that you've had. For sure.
Absolutely. I think you need a combination of the right models and then the right direct experience. Nothing I say will ever impact you as much as what you experience. So I came to a lot of this, through the experience of not being satisfied just by making money, not being satisfied without a rich community around me, not being satisfied unless there was sort of a deeper purpose behind how I spend my time every day and what the quality of my life is and what the impact of my work is. So, nobody's ever going to be able to replace that. And we could talk our ass off and there's still going to be people who listen to this and they're like, okay, yeah, I get that. But until you actually go out there and experience it for yourself, it's not really going to really hit home. So my goal would be can I encourage? Can I motivate? Can I just add a little bit more juice to your desire to experience real leadership? And what it really means to orient your life around a deeper truth and deeper principles. Because once that starts to become real for you, and in essence, you become a bit of a seeker, right? Because there's not like an end goal here. There's not an end state. I mean, in case we haven't looked around, the freaking universe is infinite, and human beings don't understand shit. We are like this little microscopic organism in the grand scheme of an infinite cosmos. And the amount for us to learn and grow is infinite. So, you become a seeker and you start this journey, and then it never ends. And you just hope that like you've learned and grown as much as you possibly can by the time you die. And like, that's for the sake of itself. That's just so you die happier and you die like with more wisdom or knowledge than you came. I don't know if there's another purpose, honestly.
I know I shared on the Building with Bobby on Friday that when you look back, for me, I think you said this quote, like you fail forward, you fail your way to the top. And, when Solar City Tesla was going to fire me, or even before that, Verizon Wireless fired me, in the moment with the loss, it's heavy, it's scary, but we look back now and we see those as gifts. So I think having that insight of recognizing that these hardships are just on a powerful path of change and progress. You're on your way to evolving if you're going through those hard times.
And the joke is that there's such thing as an easy path to success. That's like the laughing stock of all of this. You're part of this conversation, right? And it's why most of our business, and for all of you, most of your business is always going to be leadership. It's either going to be self-leadership, how you guide and lead yourself, or it's going to be leading others. But the masses wants to believe that there is some easier path out there for you to acquire everything you desire. Well, I'm the guy that's here to tell you that there isn't. That is a crock of shit. Whatever you think is easier is just another distraction that's going to take you down another sort of way for you to learn the painful truth of life, which is that you have to work really freaking hard, and you have to really develop who you are, and you have to develop your skills, and you have to develop your leadership, and you have to develop your capabilities, and you have to develop your talents in order to reach big success in life. That's what it takes. No matter where you go, no matter where you are, you're looking in a mirror, okay? And what you create in life is going to be a lot about who's in that freaking mirror. And we're always trying to find some easier thing that's going to make it easier or do it for us, and it doesn't exist. So at the end of the day, you got to decide, where am I going to plant myself, and how am I really going to focus on becoming the entrepreneur, the business leader, the successful human being that I need to be to make my goals, dreams, and results come to life. And until everyone has that moment of truth where they realize wherever I go, there I am, I'm always going to be getting that mirror in my face, I might as well buckle down, turn it inward, and figure out how to become the person that can create results in life. That's the game. That's the game we're all playing. Anybody who's not playing that game is living in a fantasy.
Mediocre. Would you work for you? Would you want to be led by you? When you look in the mirror, would you look up to and want to work for you? That's something we heard on a training the other week. And I think one of the cool things about Powur is that, this saying that people don't leave companies, they leave leadership or their managers, right? And I think it's a testament to what you've accomplished here and your executives. When I look up to you and Bobby and Charles and the other leaders that are all making Powur move forward, I enjoy that community. I enjoy that tribe. It's not, it's not someone that's attracted to materialistic things or is not, very high morals in life. It's really grounded people. And we get to do it with our friends and our family. That's the opportunity at Powur. You can bring in your friends, your family. I know you have long-term friends you've known for 10, 15 years that work here in corporate. Many of your friends have joined Powur. And so that's just, I think, a testament to everything you've built and everything we appreciate, everyone that's watching. So let's get into a little bit more. Powur achieved Inc. 43, so the fastest growing nationwide privately held company in all industries last year, achieving over 330 million and probably on target to do 400, 450 million plus this year. And all of that's been accomplished since January of 2020, when Powur decided to be the general contractor in the first state. Scaling to over 200 employees.
400.
Oh, excuse me, 400 corporate employees.
The peak 430.
And creating a decentralized model never done before. You know, other companies out there have done brick and mortar or brick by brick and warehouse by truck, and then BK by BK, and a lot of turmoil. So the thought that there's a decentralized model has never been done before. The Uber, the Amazon, as cliche as it sounds, it's the truth. And doing that in such a short time, take us back to the idea of Powur was first born. How deep rooted was your vision? And for those of you watching, the first iteration of Powur 2013 had to evolve. We'll get to that. But when you had that vision, what did that look like for you? How rooted in that vision were you? Did you have to be?
I think that Powur is growing up and developing and unfolding every day to meet the vision. That's not really my vision. To me, it feels like the vision from the universe that came through in the Amazon rainforest. And really that spirit of the rainforest, that is where this whole thing came from, is trying to guide us on what's actually going to be the most effective thing to change the world, to create impact and cause impact. And there's very tactical, tangible ways, right? It's from the beginning, had this focus on a distributed model. From the beginning, there's just been this very deep desire and this very deep sort of hard-coded motivation in me to build a distributed model. All of the decisions were around distributed. It was, how do you empower a crowd? Whether that's a crowd of installers, crowd of sellers, even a distributed labor force. So much of it is around how you sort of enable via technology, via platforms, distributed models. And that's nature. Nature's not centralized. Nature is an ecosystem. Nature is distributed. Resources are distributed. Intelligence is distributed. It's balanced. Things are localized. There's no centralized anything in nature. It's just not how it works. And of course, then you look at the biggest models of our economy today, and what they all are, and they're platforms. And in essence, platforms are usually distributed architectures. They're, okay, we build this thing that facilitates the network to have transactions, whether that's a Uber ride or a social media interaction or sharing of a apartment or a real estate space. Fundamentally what platforms do is facilitate large networks to have transactions. And, they really need to build proper governance structures, and they need to kind of like handle the negative, the negative sort of platform effects that can sometimes exist when these distributed networks reach scale. One example is, spam on MySpace. Spam was a horrible problem on MySpace, and MySpace dealt with it very poorly. Facebook dealt with it much better. And the distributed network moved over to Facebook. So, there's certain responsibilities that platforms have, But fundamentally, that's what they're doing. They're facilitating an ecosystem. They're facilitating transactions to happen across a distributed network. I think that Powur is a really easy sort of decision to make. Number one, do I believe that it is a worthy effort of my life energy, the time and life energy that I have on this planet, this limited time and life energy? Do I believe it is a worthy effort of my time and life energy to try to solve distributed energy at scale? If you can answer that question, yes, there really is nothing else to answer, because I don't even care, and I shouldn't say this, but I don't care if I fail. I never cared. I mean, sure, the person, Jonathan Budd, with his attachments and his limited identity and whatnot, of course he doesn't want to fail. But literally from the beginning, if I could answer this question, yes, is it worth my life energy to try to solve this problem? It really doesn't matter whether I succeed or fail, because the purpose is in doing the action itself. The purpose is in me trying. The purpose is in me showing up to utilize my life energy to solve a worthy problem that is going to impact so many more lives than just my own. And if I'm satisfying that purpose and I'm meeting my needs, right? Do I have food on the table? Do I have money in the bank? Am I meeting my needs? Am I okay? Am I surviving? Yes. Then I'm done. For me, I don't need anything else. So I think there's a level of leadership that when you really get to like true leadership and like, what are you basing your decisions around? You don't need to answer a whole lot of questions. If you can answer the biggest one, and then you can check the other boxes, is this good? Check. Is my taking care of my family? Check. Is my quality of life good? Check, check, check. Let's go. Let's solve this freaking problem. And if it doesn't work, and we're the human beings that figure out, no, this isn't the way, then all that means is there's got to be some other way, and fine, we'll solve that way. Like, that's the actual way we're going to solve this problem. But life is begging for human beings to step up and solve the challenge of distributed clean energy at scale. It's begging for it. The economy is begging for it. Our society is begging for it. Our planet's begging for it. Homeowners are begging for it. We need this new model. It's like desperately needed, and we've got to solve this. Not for the sake of Jonathan Brunasso's, personal goals. Yes, his third house he needs to buy, or for Jonathan Budd's, home on Maui, or for whatever. That's not the reason we need to solve this. We need to solve this because the potential of all humans, of all life, depends on it. We're not going to be able to reach our potential as a species if we do not figure out a new way to produce energy, manage energy, supply energy, a new type of energy infrastructure for life.
For those of you that were on the roundtable yesterday with, the CEO of Enphase, Raghu, I mean, he was telling us that if everybody gets electric vehicles, and in California, it's legally required to go electric vehicles, they won't sell gas cars anymore in 10 years. The grid is going to double the energy demand. The average house will 50% need double the energy. And I mean, let's face it, our grid can barely handle the energy needs of today without causing fires and sparking. And I don't know what caused the Hawaii. I don't know if it was a tower sparking or what, but our grids are unstable, and the need is there. And we are literally taking coal plants offline. When you have 100,000 batteries distributed amongst California, they no longer need to keep that coal plant operational just to use in a few hours, like you were saying, in the summertime when the ACs are running. And now they say, please don't use your electricity. Please don't charge your car. I mean, so I can't agree with you more that it's beyond needed, and we will shift and evolve. which is what happened in 2019. So prior to 2019, Powur was a lead gen style. And then in 2019, you guys changed, evolved, and developed to the ability to sell solar. And then very quickly in 2020, we're like, let's be the general contractor license holder in every state. So walk us through maybe just that evolution, like what that change took to have that foresight, like, hey, we need to pivot to this model and now this way.
I mean, I think good leaders follow. You follow the data, you follow the signs, you follow the facts, you follow. So as new evidence comes in, we're constantly readjusting the hypothesis and readjusting the plan and readjusting the strategy. So there was a lot of data that started coming in very quickly that had me go, well, shit, we never wanted to be a general contractor. The board didn't want to be a general contractor, but all the evidence is telling me that becoming a general contractor is going to be much better for this mission. It's going to help get more solar out there. It's going to help make this stronger. So we did it because it was what the data was saying was the right thing to do. And we still function that way. A lot of this is learning from these experiences and then reassessing and then taking action on all those learnings. And even this year, massively being guided by the new evidence coming in, by all the new information out there. And this company is going through a major transformation in our internal focus this year. And I'm not going to get into a lot of that on this call because we're going to talk about that at Powur World. And I've got I can't wait to share what I'm going to share with everybody at Powur World. The sum total of like 6 months of deep strategy work and some really deep work that the team's been doing internally.
Using outside consulting companies, getting laser
spending
focused.
$500,000. We spent about $500,000 to $600,000 just on strategy and consulting and like helping us get more clear than we've ever been in our lives just in the last 3 months alone. So yeah, we've been making major investments in this, and we have developed a incredibly crisp hypothesis around the next 12 to 24 months and what's really going to produce transformation in our business.
That's exciting.
So that's, I'm excited to share that, but we're being led, we're being guided by all of you, as all of you, bring new evidence and new information to the table and new ideas. We're following all the time. I think great leaders, both follow and have the foresight to say, okay, this is where we need to go. We know we need to get here. We know that there's going to potentially be uncomfortable, it's going to be uncomfortable getting there. But we still got to do it. We still got to get there. So you carry that balance of being able to focus on the future and do what it takes to get to that future that you see while listening and responding and taking in everything from all the people around you. And I think that's a lot of what great leadership is,
I strongly agree with that. And moving into the next topic, stress management, right? Solar anywhere, for those of you who've been in solar 5, 10, 15 years, we know it can be stressful. There's construction, permits, batteries, fire code changes. We have net metering changes in California. We have high interest rates. We had procurement shortages, a year or two ago. We couldn't even get panels. Prices skyrocketed.
That seems like such a great problem now, compared to 23.
And then there's a few installers, that have to be offboarded that aren't making it. And one thing I want to say is, one thing I remind myself, guys, is we're not at these other companies not getting paid commissions. We all have a friend, for those of you in the industry, we all have a friend that's, hey, they still owe me 60 grand. What do you have, Jonathan? Hey, they owe me $100,000. They're going out of business. My customers are half taken care of. We're not in that company, okay? And I remind myself that of daily, even with the challenges of this new model only 3 years in. I try to remind myself that we're not at those companies going under. And that's one thing I do, is just try to practice on, the gratitude and on the positives. But
it's a terrible bar to set, frankly, that is a bit of the bar in the industry. But I mean, this year, like that's more than a bar, because there is no question that with how quickly these changes of interest rates and NEM 3 have hit the residential solar industry, which is industry wide, there is going to be, in Q4 and Q1 of this year, the stories are just getting started. I mean, those stories of like, hey, I'm owed 60 grand, I'm owed 30 grand, I'm owed 100 grand, this company just shut down. It has not even begun yet. Okay. By Q4 and Q1 of this year, there's going to be major industry consolidation. There will be, it's really unfortunate. It's sad. These shocks that the industry is absorbing, they just happened too fast. There needed to be more time for the industry to absorb the policy changes and the interest rate changes. And solar was really very susceptible to these interest rate changes, more so than I think companies realized or thought. And that's okay. It is what it is. It's a cycle, but no question in this market that we're in right now, safety, financial safety, and safety in the organization that you're a part of is probably the number one most important criteria to look at, because there's going to be blood in the streets.
With companies not paying M1s now, with lenders pulling back, with uncertainty of lenders, and if there's solar companies out there that didn't have cash in the bank, the wave of bankruptcies is only getting started. We're already seeing some companies struggling. We're seeing some companies down 60, 70, 80% of sales. And to also be at a nationwide company that's profitable is even harder, in my opinion. So I think it's just what you've done, the way you've built it. It hasn't been all roses and perfect, but it has got us into a safe place.
Let's hit the distributed model. It's really nobody is further along in advancing a distributed labor model than Powur. Nobody. There's a handful of other competitors that, after the rise of Powur, definitely started, going more the distributed route, but no one else has sort of focused exclusively and built an entire end-to-end platform around servicing this model like Powur. Okay. So we're at the leading edge of this thing, and this is a 3-year-old model. It is just getting started. It's in its infancy. Achilles heel, so strengths, right? We can both hit the Achilles heel of the distributed model. We can hit the strengths of the distributed model. The strengths of the distributed model unquestionably are finance. Financially, the health of the organization is so much stronger than vertically integrated models. Those models do not have the flexibility to scale up and down. They just don't. Distributed models are so much more flexible. So in times like this, right now, like we're seeing the real world results, I had our board of directors tell us, like, flat out, they're like, Jonathan, like, you don't know how much worse this could look like right now, depending on the type of model that your business is. And that's why you're going to see vertically integrated players at a real exposure level in Q4 that is not comfortable. And a lot of them are struggling right now to figure out how to wind down those offices and those trucks and those leases and all that sort of stuff and just survive. So massive strength of the model is its financial flexibility. And all of us really can't take that for granted, because at the end of the day, our business is your business. This is one business, right? The health and safety and viability of your business is its financial strength. When you put a customer in, are you going to get paid? Is your customer to get serviced? Is the company going to be around? That's a pretty damn important thing. So we've got that going for us. Distributed is extremely strong in that regard. Achilles heel of distributed is really offboarding installers. That's what it is. When the installer relationship is going great, it's going great.
Things are great.
You
My
know,
life's
there's
great.
everybody's life is great. 90% of all the shit we deal with, the hairy shit, the nasty shit, the like, oh, this sucks experiences, 90% of those experiences are coming from 10% of the installers that we are offboarding or in the process of offboarding or need to offboard. Those are the facts. So when it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it goes to shit. That's the Achilles heel. I don't want to say like it's unsolvable, because there's no question in my mind that it is a solvable problem, but we've got to invest in solving that problem. And we're taking years, 3 years of data now, 3 years of experiences, 3 years of learnings to really build a infrastructure and an architecture around how you solve that problem. It's not enough to just depend on the OM to figure out in their head when somebody's good, when somebody's bad, when I should give them projects, when I shouldn't. Which, let's be clear, that's how it's been operating for 3 freaking years. And that's part of the problem, right? There's not a real system, there's not a real architecture, there's not a real infrastructure for how to manage when you offboard an installer, and most importantly, not ever really getting to that position where you need to offboard an installer with 50 projects in their pipeline to begin with. That's the magic, right? So if we solve that Achilles heel of the distributed model, honestly, the noise, so much of the noise goes away. It just goes away. The noise is just not there anymore. So that is like one of the number one focuses of this business right now. And we've made it one of the number one focuses. It hasn't been the number one focus. There's been so many other focuses that solving offboarding installers hasn't been number one. It might seem to you crazy. Why not? If it's the source of 90% of our noise. But I can just tell you, this is part of what we've learned over the last 3 years. It's that when you're scaling, there's this paradoxical thing that happens, where you feel like you've got more resources than you've ever had. You're scaling. Oh my God, there's $50 million in the bank. There's hundreds of millions of dollars coming in. We can do more than we've ever been able to do before. Let's go launch a project management initiative. Let's launch a freaking growth initiative. Let's launch direct to consumer. Let's do this, let's do that. Let's do all these things. But the irony of scale is that scale is its own initiative. And it's the most demanding one. There's going to be 20 things that you don't anticipate with scale, 20 to 30 things that you don't anticipate. You're going to be forced to re-engineer your internal operating system of your company 2 or 3 times. By the time you go from 0 to 100 employees, by the time you go from 100 to 200, by the time you go from 200 to 400, you will have to redo your internal operating systems 2 to 3 freaking times. Just internally, how you operate to keep up with your internal scale. Never mind the scale of external customers, external sellers, external installers, etc. If I could rewind the clock, the second we started scaling, if I had an omniscient, sort of view into the future, I would have paused every other growth initiative we were doing. And I would have redirected 100% of the company resources on doing nothing other than scaling. That's it. That's my mistake. That's my lesson to learn from the last 3 years. But the beauty is we're still in the game. So we get to now apply those lessons forward, and we get a second shot really at scaling with a true excellence. And this time around, the focus is on nothing other than scaling. There's a few other focuses, like, in this climate, finance is king. So we have to have a really strong financial value proposition. So you're going to see us focus on TPO and focus on optimizing loan products and creating the right financial value proposition so that our product is winning. But outside of that, there is really nothing else that this company is really focused on right now other than scaling with excellence. And that's hard-earned experiential lessons.
So let's talk on that for a second. You know, it is a rough time, as you heard, and it will continue for 12, 18 months, perhaps.
It's going to be 4 quarters for sure. It could be 4 to 6 quarters before the industry really starts to see some real relief on the interest rate side, adaptation to new financing products, and a greater adaptation to the policy shift in California.
So during that time, you know, obviously it sounds like Powur is saying no to most initiatives and focusing on core competencies, operational excellence, and even the year of the installer.
Yeah.
So maybe you could speak to, like, during this time, this rough time where a lot of companies are going under, Powur's doubling down on X and Y, and we'll hear more at Powur Convention about that. But
Yeah.
so what Powur's doubling down on, and what can maybe the person listening right now, the sales rep, what can they double down on during this time?
Well, so there's a couple salient points here, right? Number one, everything is about to get better, you know, from an operational standpoint, simply because there is more bandwidth. Even if the company didn't do anything, you know, to invest in scaling and systems and all this sort of stuff.
And so on that point, even though revenues are down, your initiative is not to let go of people. So the spend on project managers, operations manager, customer service in relation to revenue,
we're going to have the way I can explain it is we are going to have the highest OpEx, which is the percentage of revenue we spend on operating the business. The highest percentage of revenue we've ever spent on operating the business will exist in Q4. We have historically run at like a 7, 8, 9% OpEx. That means 7 to 9% of all the revenue actually goes to operating the business. Starting in Q4, that is going to be like 20 to 25% higher. Not for the reason that we all love, right? Which is that, you know, we've made so much money and there's so much revenue that we now get to invest, you know, 25% more.
Sales are down a little bit.
But because the industry is facing a downturn. And, you know, Powur's view on this is the long game, right? Like, we're not trying to cut to the bone here, you know, and stay profitable through the next 4 quarters. Thankfully, we don't have to. You know, we've got some substantial cash reserves. The company has made some real money over the last few years, and we've built up some cash reserves. So in our viewpoint, if we can invest in the scalability of the business over the next 4 quarters, if we can invest in the infrastructure, if we can over-invest in those capabilities that we really want and need, great product management, operational excellence, you know, the best workflows tied to a distributed model to reduce cycle times and optimize the shit out of this over the next 4 quarters, when we're not, frankly, trying to keep up just with the growth, right? Because when you're trying to keep up with 2,000 sales every month and growing every month, there's nothing else you can really focus on. You're just trying to keep up with all of the activity and day-to-day operating of a scaling customer base. So if we don't have to just, you know, struggle to breathe and keep up over the next 4 quarters, and we can actually over-invest into infrastructure, workflows, you know, distributed installer management, product management, platforms,
work order confirmation, installer relationships, like, 2 big ones.
We're so freaking excited about this, guys. I mean, it sounds crazy, right? But we are like excited as hell to just have 4 quarters to like feel like, wow, what if we really get to focus on this for 4 quarters straight, you know? And like, where are we going to be at the start of the next boom cycle? And, you know, this is the part of this conversation, which is real leadership. You know, you guys need, all of us, you know, we need to not think just this month, just next month, just the month after that. You got to think about, where is your career going? You know, where are you going with your career? Where are you going with your business? If you fast forward 5 years from today, do you want to be, you know, making multi six figures a year with a blend of passive and active income? Like, do you want to be making 7 figures a year? Do you want to be positioned to like be in a prosperity that like no other solar professionals ever have been in their life? And if you want to do that, you're going to need a few things. A, you're going to need a nationwide platform-esque model that can freaking scale. If you don't have a model that can scale, guess what you're doing? You're hunting what you eat every single day forever, okay? Not to say that's not wrong. There's some people out there that's going to be their life, and that's how they're going to spend the golden years of solar. I personally wouldn't want to spend my golden years of solar hunting what I eat every day. I would want to spend my golden years of solar offsetting my passive income and wherever it's at with some sales. But what I would really want is to take advantage of leverage platform models, being able to share something innovative and powerful with others that can scale way beyond my personal efforts, that I can then have the quality of lifestyle and impact that really makes somebody's life different. You know, it gives you a different possibility in life. That's just me. So for those kind of people that really think big, think long-term, think quality of life, look, you're not going to get that if you don't have a compensation plan, a business model, and an architecture like what Powur has. And there's only a few other players, if we can even call them that. I don't think there's any other player that has the same kind of focus on a network and a business model to expand that network than Powur. Period and end of freaking story. There's a couple others out there that are trying, but it doesn't really come close to the flexibility we have to recruit enterprises, installers, you know, individuals, and monetize the growth of that network and the infrastructure around supporting that network, from hundreds of events to marketing, to campaigns, to branding, to platform, to features. You just can't get close. So at the end of the day, if we take the next 12 months to really solve some of the scalability and operational excellence pieces, and that then serves as the bedrock and foundation for the boom years of solar from 2025 to 2033, you know, when there's no question we will be entering a boom cycle, peak utility rates, interest rates coming back down, you know, greater adoption, mainstream America, everyone has around solar and batteries. Electric vehicles. I mean, like, we're in the beginning of this freaking thing still. So you have to really crystallize your vision. What are you in this for? You know, what are you here for? Like, are you here for real impact, for real success, for real transformation, for really doing something different, for really solving a big problem? Or are you here to just, you know, live paycheck to paycheck and go hunt your next meal, and it doesn't matter who you do it with or what is it? It's just transactional. Like, what are you doing? Like, do you have a real vision and a real plan beyond just transactions? And if you say yes, you're in the right freaking place, man, because there is a community of leaders here. There's a community of big picture thinkers here. There's a community of people here that are so dedicated and focused to solving this problem. I don't see any way we're not going to win. I don't see anyone else who's going to solve this problem better than we are. And I don't see any way we're not going to freaking win. I really don't.
Woo. Boy, I mean, that's almost a strong close right there. And everything you're speaking is just facts. I mean, our timelines in California dropped almost 30 to 40 days recently. When I looked at the numbers, we are getting faster. We have more operations, more customer service, the work order confirmation, finding strong partners. I mean, it's only going to get better. And what I've found, Jonathan, is that sometimes some people out there regret waiting. You know, a few people on this call probably, they regret waiting in 2020 when it was rough, way rougher. You told me, like, man, I'm not sure why you're still here. It's pretty rough right now. But pursuing through, pushing through, and having faith in the model and the people has allowed a few of us to be extremely successful, earning over 7 figures in a year with this model. And what I found is that sometimes when people, no blame to them, we want everyone to thrive and we want to root for anyone in this industry. But when you think you can jump around a company to company and you can try this small company and this small company, and now you're managing it, but you don't have the CRM, and then they go under and they're not paying you, and this nationwide company sucks. And then some of those people come back and they're like, damn, wish I would have stayed here 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And
we hear it all the time.
And I think, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know the future, but this is where my bet is. And hearing this over and over and over, everybody, going all in. You dropped some pretty amazing nuggets right there, and we'll get to hear more at Power Convention. But maybe if it makes sense, like, what does going all in for these people look like if they want to be a leader, if they want to benefit from the 5 income streams, if they want to make multiple 6-figure and stop hunting what they eat every day, move off the doors or whatever that looks like? What is the call to action to go all in?
It's really, it's one of those like great mysteries, but I try to demystify it. Like, why don't people go all in? The results are so obvious. Like, when you go all in, you actually have the potential to achieve success unlike any other type of success you can achieve. And you look at the individuals who go all in, right? They go all in, and they're all in. And it's like Jonathan in like the summer of 2020, we didn't have anything. There was no platform. All we had was Powur.com front-end sales management, okay? We were managing installers out of like Google Sheets and shit like that. There was nothing. And we gave them 850 projects in the month of August. And as you can understand, there was lots of future off-boarded installers in that cohort. And so there was nothing. Yet somehow, fast forward, right? Most people complain today they've got an issue on their project, or this happened, or, oh man, we had to redesign this thing, or this happened, that happened there, or whatever. It doesn't even compare to the chaos of the summer of 2020. Yet Jonathan Brunasso, makes $100,000 a month, but his issues were like 100 times worse. Like, if there's a correlation between your issues and the amount of money you make, shouldn't he be making negative money? I mean, like, you would think he would have made negative money because he had the worst issues. Why did the worst issues equal the biggest income? And this is what people just don't freaking get, that it's not about the challenges. You face challenges wherever the hell you go. It is actually about something bigger than that. It's about your commitment. It is truly about, did you go all in to see yourself through the challenges? Jonathan at that time believed in 2 things. He believed in the model. He said, I don't know why, but there's some future to this model, and I'm going to choose to believe in it. And he believed in the team. I don't have a lot of history with these people yet, but I really like them. They're authentic. I feel something here. I'm going to choose to believe in the team. Jonathan went all in on something deeper than his momentary challenges and superficial transactions and the pain he was experiencing with his emotions and what he had to deal with. I'm not going to negate all that. That's real stuff, but it's superficial. It's present. It's here today, gone tomorrow. I'm having this experience now, and then it's gone, right? So it's temporary. He went all in on something not temporary. He went in on something deeper. His principles, his beliefs, his ideals. What is he committed to? When you freaking commit to something bigger than the temporary experiences you're having, you have the potential to unleash a type of success that you will never experience otherwise. And what's in between people making that commitment is trust. And this is the hard part, because I can't give you trust. I can't give you trust in something deeper than yourself. I can't give you trust in something deeper than your present moment experience. I can't give you trust in something deeper than the emotions you're feeling. You've got to freaking do the work on yourself. You've got to do the work on yourself to actually trust in something bigger than your present moment experience or the challenge or the this or the that. And it's so sad to me because that's where most people fail. They never find a way to get beyond that. It's kind of like, oh, this is my present moment thing. They don't find a way to get beyond to the deeper trust in what their life is really about, the impact they're really here to have, what they're really committed to. And when you find a way to do that, ladies and gentlemen, and you really go all in, you can't lose. Even if the thing you go all in on fails, the skills you will have gained and the person you will have become from going all in on something you believe in makes you so much more capable in life. Whatever you do next, you'll be a real leader. You'll be a real leader. People will follow you. You'll know how to guide them. You'll know how to lead them. You will have developed a type of capacity that you never would have developed if you didn't go all in. It is the act of going all in on something you believe in, something that is so authentic to you that it's worth your courage, your bravery, your trust. It's worth failing. The act of going all in on that changes you, and it makes you who you're really meant to become, and it gives you the potential to achieve success you wouldn't otherwise. So you got to find that, man. Everybody's got to find it. You got to find it.
Woo-hoo.
You got to.
Mic drop. That's right, Jordan Shaw. Oh my goodness gracious. I know we're wrapping up here on time. Where are we headed? Where do you see us going? I mean, everything we said, we can see the vision, we can see the decentralized model, we can see being able to sell energy from home to home to the utility that we heard from Raghu yesterday. I mean, where the heck is this rocket ship heading? Where can we really be in 5, 8, 10 years? Where can these people see themselves if they do everything?
Well, this is what will be shared at Powur.
Teaser alert.
If you want to find out the answer to that question, I'll see you for my
At
opening
Powur.
segment at Powur.
All right, Jonathan. Well, I know that was a lot of information. We weaved and went different directions. As I said in the beginning, you know, I have 450 jobs under my belt. And if you get an O&M call, a repair call every few weeks, try a few every other week, like, right? And so I searched deep in myself with 450 jobs and more sales and some teammates, you know, that aren't happy. What has it taken me? How can I shape myself? How can I put my emotions in check? How can I have others coach me? How can I help coach others? How can I deal with this stress? Some days are hard.
It's a hard business.
Some days we get
Hard
customers
business.
chewing our head off. And you know what I've realized is say you're sorry, apologize. Yes, we could do better. I'm glad that we're in business, unlike other companies. I'm glad that we got you locked into the solar deal that we got you into. Yes, I'll update you better next week. If we just take a moment, take a breath, and we don't react, and we respond, and we look at this bigger goal, bigger vision, and this leader right here and all other leaders, we'll push through, guys. If you can hang on for 6, 12, 18 months, do the activities, quadruple down on lead gen. That's what it takes right now. You need to 3, 4, 5x your lead gen right now, especially in California. You need to door knock. You need to do the BNI. The high bills are coming right now in the summertime. We're seeing a little bit of a bounce back in California and other markets on the sales. And if you push through, it's not easy the first 6 months. Sometimes it takes 6, 8 months to build this business, especially not always getting M1s, but thanks to Powur, we can still get M1 payments. So if you're able to push through by next summer, I promise you, this industry is gonna take off. We will have the year of operational excellence. We will do work order confirmations, strengthen the relationships, and this rocket ship will take off as others are going under. I firmly believe it. And I know that you believe it. That's why you're here. That's why you're listening to this call, watching this recording. And boy, I can't wait for frickin' Powur World.
Oh yeah. Well said. No, it's to finish on that point, you know, cycles are oftentimes where the future leaders of the next cycle are born. So it is the work you do now during this cycle which will prepare you and position you for the next cycle. That's how it works. You know, people a lot of times come into companies and they say, oh, you know, how did Jonathan or Charles or Jarrett or JC or whatever, you know, reach the level of success that they did? And it's because they actually put the work in a different cycle. And it's like one of those bamboo trees where like those roots are under the ground and you're just seeing it once it shoots up kind of thing. So trust me, when this market turns, and it will unequivocally turn, interest rates are not going to stay high forever. And we all know that the value proposition in California already makes sense. This is really just an education of the marketplace thing and creating consumer demand. You want to be positioned for that next cycle. And the work that you do right now, if you go out there and you freaking hustle in this next 12 months and you put in 3 to 5x the work that you normally would have, you are going to have to put in so much less work when the next cycle begins. Like, that's the way it works. You know, hard now, easy later, easy now, hard later. You choose.
You want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, do it with your tribe, your community, your people, and your team and your leaders. So, Jonathan,
love you, JB.
Yeah, brother.
Love you guys too. Truly. This community means so freaking much to me. So much.
Let's give it up for Jonathan in the chat, everyone, taking some extremely valuable time, dropping nuggets, reinvigorating us, reinstilling that vision.
We're together.
Decentralized platform, that family that we have. Can't wait to see you at Powur Convention. Seeing many of you tomorrow in Southern California for our Side Hustle event. Make sure to attend your market development meetings. We got Building with Bobby Friday, and I can't wait to see you at Powur Convention, Coronado Island in San Diego, not far from Powur headquarters. So,
woo! Let's go lead, baby. Let's go lead. I love you guys and gals.
Thank you, JB.
High five.
Boom. All right, brother.
Oh, yeah. Man, Cammy's waiting for me.
Thank you. Thank you.
JB, if you want to work, I'll be done. I'm really going to stick around.